You've probably heard this before. Just file the claim, and the insurance company will handle the rest. But in Texas, what you don't know and what you don't do could cost you tens of thousands of dollars. This video walks you through 10 specific moves that will make insurance adjusters nervous, from documenting your pain to using the state laws that they hope you've never heard of. You will learn exactly how to protect your case, spot the dirty tricks from the insurance adjusters, and avoid those mistakes that can wreck your settlement. Hi, I'm personal injury attorney Max the Axe, the gold standard in personal injury, and let's jump into the first claim trick that rattles insurance adjusters: keeping detailed notes. The moment you're in a car accident or any kind of injury where you're going to be filing a claim, you need to keep your own documentation. Write down everything: where the accident happened, how it happened, who was there, what was said, and how you felt, both physically and emotionally. Don't rely on the insurance company's forms or their version of the events. Remember, their job is to gather the right information that helps them pay as little as possible. For example, I once had a client here in Houston who wrote down his level of pain every day after the crash. When the insurance adjuster tried to downplay his injuries by going through their normal checklist of questions, we had the documentation to prove how the injury affected his life. He couldn't attend his son's baseball games, and he was having difficulty sleeping at night. These detailed notes told the real story of the injury. Insurance adjusters get very worried when you keep your own detailed notes of how the injury has affected you, because that means that you're not boxed into their version of the events. In Texas, this kind of written log can be extremely powerful, because the jury, they are real people. They care about how this injury has affected your life, not just the medical bills. Demanding all communication in writing. Here's the second trick: politely insist that all communications with the insurance company be in writing. This includes all settlement offers, all explanations of their insurance coverage, and any statements that they want you to make. Why is this important? Because these insurance adjusters are trained to be nice and kind and courteous when they're on the phone. However, what they say and what they appear to be is very different from what they end up doing. If they say something like, "We'll cover all of your medical bills," but then they only pay you for a fraction of your medical bills, you will need proof of what was promised by them. A client of mine from Sugarland asked the adjuster to put everything in writing after he was being forced into a quick settlement. The insurance adjuster suddenly became a lot more careful and more generous with their offers. Remember, in Texas, everything they put in writing can be used as evidence. If they refuse to put it in writing, well, then that's a huge red flag. Never accepting the first settlement offer. Here is claim trick number 3. Never, ever take the first offer. The first offer is almost always their lowest. Adjusters are hoping that you are desperate, overwhelmed, and just unaware of how much your claim is really worth. They also want to take advantage of the fact that you don't know how bad your injury will be 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now. For example, I represented a client out in Texas City where, for the whole family, the first offer was $3,000. This number wouldn't even cover the emergency room bill. We pushed back against this, presented additional evidence, and eventually they tendered the full $60,000 policy limit. There is always more money on the table, especially in Texas, where the insurance companies know that the juries can be extremely generous for real injuries that you can prove. It's not greedy to ask what you deserve. It's smart, and it's what's fair. The first offer is simply the starting point. It's not the finish line. Using photos and videos, not just written statements. Here's the fourth trick: use your phone. Take photos, record videos. Don't just rely on what you say happened. Show it with pictures and videos. For example, if you're in a car wreck in Austin, Texas, I want you to capture the scene, capture the hill country. You want to see the road conditions, the property damage, the surrounding environments. You want to see the red lights or the green lights. You want to take photos of the vehicles, any visible injuries that are apparent like cuts, bruises, or scrapes, any broken glass, as well as the other driver's insurance card. The adjusters hate this because these photos and videos help tell the story, and they're hard to argue with when they were taken right after the crash. They can't claim that it was just a fender bender when your video shows a crumpled trunk and a deployed airbag. In Texas courts, juries love seeing real, visual proof, not just paperwork and statements. One client from San Antonio took a video after her wreck, which showed that there were only 2 lanes of travel. This video kept the insurance company from arguing that she actually changed lanes into their client, the defendant. holding her responsible for the crash. Fortunately, she had this video that proved that there was no way for her to change lanes into the other driver. Getting a full medical checkup, not just a quick urgent care visit. Fifth trick, get a comprehensive physical evaluation from a trained doctor, not just in urgent care or an emergency room. Emergency room doctors are concerned with life-threatening injuries, like if you need surgery immediately. If you have back pain or neck pain, they'll probably just tell you to take it easy and follow up with your normal doctor. Insurance adjusters are hoping that you'll just take Tylenol and tough it out. And they'll later argue that you weren't really hurt because there's no medical documentation of your injuries. And if you are hurt, they will later argue that you weren't really hurt or that your injuries must have been caused by something else because you didn't get to the doctor until a couple weeks later. I had a client in Dallas who went to the urgent care right after a crash, but then followed up with a specialist. That second doctor is the one who did the more comprehensive evaluation and identified a lot of symptoms that helped demonstrate that the crash is what caused this injury. Ultimately, this doctor's medical records was able to prove that our client's herniated disc was caused by the crash. By getting a thorough exam with a specialist, our client was able to protect her case and her health. In Texas, insurance adjusters just can't ignore the medical documentation from specialists. And don't settle your claim until you know the full extent of your injuries. Never giving a recorded statement without legal advice. Trick number 6, never give a recorded statement, especially to the other driver's insurance company, until you've talked to a lawyer first. The adjusters will always sound polite over the phone, but these recorded statements are designed to trip you up. In the recorded statement, they will be asking you leading questions to try to get you to minimize your injury or accept fault. I had a client down in Brownsville who gave a recorded statement after a crash where he said, "I'm fine, how are you?" The adjuster used this line of "I'm fine" to offer him a fraction of what his injury was truly worth. In Texas, you do not have to give a recorded statement right away. Ask them to send their questions in writing or call your lawyer first. A single slip up on this issue can cost you thousands. Calculating all of your damages, not just the medical bills. 7th, don't just add up the medical bills. Add up every single loss. Don't just accept their offer of medical expenses. In Texas, you're entitled to a whole lot more. Your lost wages from work, your future medical expenses, your pain and suffering, your physical impairment, and your mental anguish. Let's say you're a nurse working in El Paso and you had to miss 3 weeks of work because of the crash. You should be compensated every day you were lying down in pain instead of going to work. And if you can't play with your kids or sleep well or do work around the house, those losses matter too. Adjusters fear those claimants who know the true value of their case. One of my clients was a father who kept track of every single soccer game that he missed for his kids and every single school event that he couldn't attend. We included those losses in his claim, and the insurance company paid attention. 8. Using Texas's rules against unfair claim practices. Use Texas laws to your own advantage. Texas has strong rules against insurance companies that delay or deny coverage unfairly. If you're getting the runaround from them, please know that Texas Insurance Code Section 542 makes it illegal for them to drag their feet on settlement. For example, they have strict deadlines under the code: 15 days to acknowledge your claim and request information, and another 15 days to either accept or deny after you provide them what they need. If they don't meet these deadlines, the insurance company may have to pay additional damages and possibly your attorney's fees. I had a client here in Houston whose claim sat on the insurance adjuster's desk for months. Once we cited Texas's prompt payment laws and threatened to sue them under a separate action, the check was in the mail within a week. Adjusters fear the clients who know their rights under Texas law. 9. Not signing any release without careful review. Never sign anything without reading it thoroughly or having an attorney read it for you. Once you sign your name on the line, the claim is over. If new injuries show up, or your injury is permanent and will need medical care for the rest of your life, you don't get to come back and ask for more money later. Insurance adjusters love to rush you into signing these documents as quickly as possible when you're at your most stressed and vulnerable. And in Texas, once you settle your case and sign, that's it, even if more medical bills show up. I had a client in Fort Worth who almost signed away his claim for $2,000. He thought that this money was just for the first few days of his injury, but when we looked at the release, we saw that it barred him from any future recovery, including for the medical procedures that he ended up needing. We held out for a better offer, and he ended up getting 10 times as much, getting an attorney involved early. Finally, the 10th and biggest trick: get an attorney involved early. Insurance companies keep records and data on every single claim. They know that the attorneys know how much the injuries are worth. The lawyers know the rules, the loopholes, and the tactics that insurance adjusters use. When you have a Texas personal injury attorney on your side, the insurance adjusters know that you're not just blindly walking through the process. They have to take your claim seriously or risk going to trial. Even just mentioning that you have an attorney can change the entire tone of the negotiation. One adjuster here in Houston told my client that once he had an attorney, they would have to go by the book. Of course it should be treated by the book. That's exactly what you want, to be treated fairly, by the rules, and to be paid every dollar that you're owed. So there you have it, 10 claims tricks that every insurance adjuster is worried about. From keeping your own records, asking for everything in writing, and getting a complete medical checkup, and never rushing to sign anything. Each of these steps puts you in the driver's seat. The more you know, the more power you have to make the system work for you. And if you want to take your claim to the next level, don't miss my next video, 5 tricks to getting paid big for your car accident. I'll give you the practical, step-by-step tips and tricks to make a huge difference in your settlement. And you'll need to see this before you talk to any insurance adjuster and certainly before you sign anything. Watch it now to protect your rights and make sure that you get the proper payment that you deserve. I'll see you over there.